This is fascinating because I have heard recently in several other interviews that I've done is this notion of when we are pulled out of our first vision or definition of home. And you even touched on
Yeah.
this in your TEDx talk. When we are pulled out of and transition away from what home became for us as a
Mm,
young child or however we
yes.
defined it very early on. And home doesn't have to be the house that we grew up in.
Right.
It can be
Right.
the neighborhood, it can be the school with friends. That the little idiosyncrasies of the things that we struggle with begin to rear their heads.
Yes.
And it is that transition that you just described and that I've heard several times now from other people who
Mm,
have gone through very similar situations. That's when trauma arises. That's when
yes.
we struggle with who we are. That's where those feelings of not just psychological unsafety but physical unsafety
Oh, yes.
begin to paralyze us.
Yes.
Before I ask a question, Mariama, something just popped in my mind. Are you familiar with the Enneagram?
Yes. Yes. And I need
Are
to do
you
it
a
again.
six?
I have to do it again, Michael. I have to do it
Okay.
again because I cannot
I
remember.
could see a six or a four, but
I can't remember. I have to go back and I have to do all of these, all these different platforms and ways for you to really
yeah.
find out who you
Well,
are. But I have to go back and I'll let you know. I'll follow up with you.
yeah, we won't go there for right now. But did what I say make sense to you? Does that resonate in that feeling of being taken away from home?
Yes.
That the feelings that you experienced, in particular what we're talking about, psychological unsafety, and you even said it in your talk that it feels physically unsafe.
Oh, yes.
Does that ring true for you?
It does. It does. I remember sitting there in silence, my stomach hurting. Sometimes I would just zone out because I didn't want to feel so uncomfortable. Most of my physical reaction would be my stomach.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes my heart would beat really, really fast. I
Well,
would
and you
hold.
said you cried. You cried in
Yes,
class
I
too. Yeah.
cried. I
Yeah.
cried. I had to wait till everybody else left. I was like, I don't want to see anybody else, seeing me cry. And also, I would hold my breath. These are things that I realized once I took speech therapy. I didn't realize I was doing until she brought it to my attention. I said, oh my goodness. She
Mm-hmm.
would be telling me something, and she says, you know what? I'm going to stop talking and let you know that you're holding your breath right now. I said, I am? She said, so let's breathe. And I was like, oh, okay. Because we don't, until someone tells us, is aware enough and knowledgeable enough to really know what's going on, they can see it and they can say, you know what? Let's stop. Let's pause. Let's deal with this.